This week, we're going to be talking about the week of July 24th through the 30th. Mercury transits into Virgo, the sign that it rules, for an extended stay due to an impending retrograde. This is your opportunity to cleanse your mind so you can create a greater efficiency in your life.
The weekly transit.
Astrology is a language that communicates how the planets and stars influence life on Earth. I'm Scott Tajarian. I'm an interpreter of this language. Join me and my co-host Ingrid Iverson, who helps bring an even more practical look at this astral language. The weekly transit is here to bring clarity to the chaos, so you can ride the planetary waves instead of the planets riding you.
The weekly transit.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Scott.
What is up, Ingrid? How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm feeling it. I'm feeling
what
excited.
Are you feeling? Feeling excited? Okay,
yeah.
good.
Well, I have that, this will be after the fact, but I have that flea market that me and my friends are doing this coming weekend. So I've just been preparing for that. So lots of career stuff, lots of organization stuff.
What is that? What are you doing?
Well, these projects have been on my plate for so long, but I have the ritual sprays that I think I shared about like a year ago that have been sitting. I have enough to make like 50 bottles of these sprays. They're like intention setting sprays, essential oils, crystals. They're related to astrology. Each one is like earth, fire, water, air, then related to the signs and some intentions to kind of go with them. So I made a bunch of those. I'm going to bring our astrology book with us. It's going to be at the Silver Lake Flea Market, which I think we're going to keep doing. So if anyone wants to come visit me, and my friend Chris is doing like typography, graphic design, we have like mirrors and vases, and my friend Gio, who does murals and stuff, he's going to have apparel and these custom like hats, kind of like Indiana Jones style, but like all handmade with like feathers and crystals, and he's got a whole intention behind all of his art. He's very like an artist. So
is this a weekly thing in Silver Lake?
Yeah, it is. It's in like the Sunset Junction. Usually they have mostly apparel.
Every Sunday.
Yeah, every Sunday from 10 to 4.
Yeah.
But like, I just realized that I like doing things in person. I feel like that feels very exciting for me. Even just like getting listener questions where we get to engage, or people write me on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
And I was talking a lot about, you were talking about that I need to be the one to make the plans, and I'm bad at that. So this was just such a good excuse to invite some people like that have been on my list to do something with for so long, whether it's coffee or like maybe I met them once and I thought we had something in common, or maybe it's somebody I already met that like just a relationship I want to continue, and it's just hard to squeeze everything in. So I think one of the exciting things is I was like, oh, I'm going to invite some people to come see us at like see what our art stuff is, and maybe I wanted them to connect with Chris or with Gio because they're like really close to me, and I always am trying to, match people up. So one of the funnest parts was just messaging a bunch of people in my phone that I haven't had the chance to connect with and be like, this is where I'm going to be. Come visit me and we can hang out. Maybe we can eat something at the farmer's market. Maybe they can just see, meet my friends and see what I've been up to in my free time. And that right there, like just immediately I was like, oh my God, Scott's been telling me to connect with people. And for some reason, making all these small plans feels tedious and stressful, but to be like, hey, like come see me. Like it doesn't, like if they don't come, if they're busy or they're not interested, whatever, it doesn't feel as vulnerable. And it feels exciting to just be like, I'm going to be out in the daytime in my community, meeting people who have similar interests. For some reason, that just extra excites me. That, and also having like deadlines to get stuff off the plate and accountability from other people in my community, Chris and Gio, to be like, okay, we need you to have a coffee table. I made this coffee table a year, like that I've been meaning to finish like over a year ago, probably. I saw these tile tables that were gorgeous and they were $500. And I was like, well, I'm not going to buy one of those because that's ridiculous. I'm cheap and I'm also handy. So I'm like, I'm going to make it myself. And I'm going to buy enough tiles and equipment to make 6 tables. Of course, they've been sitting in my house. So now my house is filled with essential oils, bottles for these sprays, boxes to ship the sprays, tiles, like just so much stuff. So I'm also excited to clear my space. Like it'd be purposeful to just clear out my stuff, sell some things that are just
Yes.
sitting in my house that
Yes.
for the intention of I was creating businesses with them. I like to just collect businesses, but now connecting with my friends and my community feels like, oh, there's a purpose to this. It's not just like me sitting at home like toiling away. I'm like, oh, I'm excited. Like I got to finish this cuz there's a deadline.
This is fantastic for you.
Yeah, so I really felt like some of your astrology advice that you've been giving me for so long that I didn't really have a place. I didn't even understand how to incorporate it until my life opened, like until something opened and I was like, "Oh, I could do it like this." Like
Yeah.
that feels like it's really resonating. So it just felt
Yes.
like something I was excited to share with you.
Awesome. Awesome. And such a cool venue to share your art and creations and sell the book, Sunset Junction.
Right?
Is very, yeah. That's like a hot spot in
Yeah, and we
LA.
want to do like the Rose Bowl too. So we're applying for the
Okay.
Rose Bowl
That is the
and
granddaddy, as they say, the
right?
Rose
And
Bowl
there's like
is
Melrose, the Melrose one, which I've been to the Melrose one, and honestly,
yeah.
I was not impressed. So I feel like the
No?
stuff we have, like, I mean,
Okay.
there was some stuff, but not all of it was. I don't know. They have a lot of like really custom stuff, and I feel like some of it felt like arts and craftsy.
Yeah.
I can't remember. It was a while ago, but I
That's
didn't
my
feel
old
super
hood, the
impressed. Oh
Melrose
yeah, I used to live right
Market.
next
Yeah,
door.
totally. Yeah.
I love that area.
Yeah. So
Well, so if anyone
awesome.
wants to come visit, I believe we'll be there. I think we're gonna try to do it like every Sunday.
That'd be so
I mean,
cool.
we bought a canopy and we're painting it tomorrow instead of just
Okay.
renting one. So we're gonna be
Yeah.
somewhere at least once a week with a bunch of cool shit. And I think maybe
Okay.
I'll decorate some of the back of here with some pieces that we've made.
Awesome. Awesome.
Did you want to do a little recap on last? I mean, I feel like we already kind of touched on it just now.
Well, I mean, yeah, last week.
Yeah.
The last week was a lot.
What was I supposed to do? I can't even remember.
Well, last week was the new moon in Cancer. And
Okay.
so it was about
Ooh.
setting your intentions. Yeah, what?
Oh, well,
You're gonna
setting my intentions for my home. I
Yes.
spent the last 2 days. Sometimes it doesn't even happen consciously. I think we talk about it and then it just kind of flows into my space, kind of
Mhm.
on a subconscious level, because I spent the last 2 days at home. I didn't leave the house. I reorganized. I cleaned out my fridge. I did a bunch of laundry. I washed some like my I washed my sheets, my towels. I had like these big blankets that I never wash because they're just like over the top of my bed. I washed those. I washed all my work outfits. Just doing the coffee table in my living room, which is like a whole construction project. Just
Mm.
pulling out all the sprays. I feel like I've kind of uprooted all these things in my house to clear some space, and it's always reflects in my emotions. I always feel so much lighter when my space is reflecting how I'm feeling.
Mm.
Like, yeah, they're just so tied together.
Yes. When your space is clear, then your mind is clear.
Yeah, I'm feeling
And
like I want to take advantage of this energy that's been happening because it's been feeling really good for me, and I don't always get to
mm,
access it.
mm.
So when it comes, I'm like, oh, this feels good. So thank you, New Moon and Cancer, for
Well,
helping me clear some shit out.
this is very exciting, because you're going to be debuting your sprays.
Hmm.
You're going to, all this creativity. I mean, last week was also the sun moved into Leo, which is all
Ah,
about creativity.
and it
And so
feels
there's,
very playful. I'm feeling
yes,
like
playful. Yes. The
lighter.
fun. Yes. Yes. What else happened last week? We had Venus retrograde in Leo as well.
Oh,
So
I also felt
reflecting
I felt
what's going on. Yeah, tell
oh,
me.
just some conflict in my like intimate relationship
Hmm.
and trying to reflect on how I can just work on myself because he's going through a hard time and then I take it personal
Mhm.
when I'm not feeling good. Actually, when I'm not feeling full, then I take it personal. And that's not good because then it makes he's like, I'm the one that doesn't feel good now. You don't feel good that I don't feel good. Like, how's that my responsibility? What the hell? And I'm just like, oh, that's shitty. So just focusing all my energy, like when he doesn't have as much time or he's not feeling good, I have plenty of things to keep me busy. And the more I work on myself, the more I'm able to show up when he doesn't feel good. And then I can hold space and just help him, and everything flows easier.
Mm.
So that was just kind of a feeling it very deeply, where I'm able to let him be, just to let him be and accept
Yes.
him for who he is, and also just focus my energy on my career stuff, my emotional state. And I think that's something that I've always really needed to work on. And
Yes.
the more apart time I actually have and less intimate connection, the the more I should, I don't always do it, but the more I should be focusing on my own shit. Like,
Hmm.
then the happier I am. Just not
Yes.
relying or tying myself so emotionally to somebody, when even if it is, because sometimes I'm like, oh, it's like not gonna last forever, like, and it's just like being present in the moment and just nurturing myself is the most important thing I can do for any of my relationships.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that was just
It's
a reminder, that retrograde, to be like, oh, I feel like I've felt that before, but then you forget. You gotta learn it again.
totally, totally. But it's such a big note for people that are born with a lot of water in their chart, like Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces.
Because we love connecting. We're so deeply connected.
Yeah, they're the sensitive, empathetic signs. So somebody that you're close to feels bad, and all of a sudden you feel bad. You feel like it's your fault, but you
Yeah.
need to do something to fix it. What were you gonna say? He what?
Oh, in terms of food, one of the things he brought up, he's like, when you ask me so many questions about food, like, he's just not tied to food. He's like, you're just stressing me out. Like, when I don't feel good, I don't want to eat. And then you're like, what do you want to eat? And I'm like, and then I saw my mom got upset about something with like my sister, my dad, that like they didn't tell her that they weren't going to be there for dinner. So she didn't get to plan to eat, and she got her feelings hurt. And I was like, Mom,
Mm.
nobody gives a shit about food as much as we do. So if somebody doesn't tell you the plan, that's on us. Like, we can't be, well, we didn't eat together. It's like, that's our thing, and we need to let
Mm.
that go. Like, if we want to do something nice for food, we do it for ourselves, and it's nice when we get to share it, but we can't take it personal when somebody doesn't want to eat, like, doesn't focus the energy around the meal. It's just not as important to them. And he was
Right.
here, and he was
Yeah.
just wasn't hungry. And usually I'd be like, kind of obsessing on like, well, he didn't eat today. Like, you have to eat, and then he's just like, you're making me feel worse by being like, you must, I don't want to eat. Leave me alone. So just being like, okay, whatever he needs, he'll get for himself, or he'll ask. And I have to trust that, like, it's not my job. And now I'm
No.
annoying someone by poking at them. Just allow everyone to
Yes.
be, and they will either fix it themselves, or if they need help, they can ask for it.
That's right.
Like, over
Awesome.
nurturing is also just an annoying quality. Just fucking go away.
Well, and that's part of the new moon in Cancer from last week. It was about like how to nurture, setting your intention to nurture yourself, setting your intention to
Yeah.
nurture those who want to nurture you. Like, who do you want to nurture? Who's nurturing you? Are you being kind to yourself? Are those that you're
Yeah.
nurturing being kind to you? These are the sort of thoughts that come up, and that generates and builds to Leo, which is the heart. And opening your heart because it's been nurtured. You can open your
Yeah.
heart when it's been nurtured. It's like you water a flower and it blooms, it opens up. That's
Yeah.
like nurturing your heart and opening your heart. That's what's happening with this Leo energy. And then Venus
It's so
transiting
apparent. Like,
retrograde. Yes.
filling myself up this week, I was able to hold space for him, and we still had a nice time, even though he didn't feel good. Instead of there being some sort of like obsession on feeding him or something, it's just like, just fix your fucking coffee table.
Hmm.
He's here, he doesn't feel good, do your own thing. It's not that big of a deal. He gets to have some sort of presence and energy that feels good to be around without smothering him. Like, just seeing me nurture myself, it's like, oh, okay, there's just an ease about it, where like preaching something is, people will open up when they're ready. And the more
Right.
you take care of
Right.
yourself, the more you're able to like just hold space for people.
Well, and when you talk about taking care of yourself, like another big transit that happened last week was the North Node moving into Aries. So that's the soul's purpose, moving into the sign of the self, taking care of yourself, loving yourself, being authentic and courageous in who you are. Unapologetically, this is unapologetically
Well, I think even
me.
this flea market even seems like nothing so crazy, but it is like putting myself out there, putting my face
Yes.
out there.
Yes.
being confident and excited to do something new.
You're going to meet so many people,
I know, I'm so
and so many
excited.
people are going to love you. They're going to be
Oh.
like, "Oh, you're Ingrid. Oh, yeah. I know you from the podcast. Or you do a podcast now. I'm going to listen to the podcast. You work in film. I have a film that I want you to work on. Like, there's just going to be so many opportunities that are going to come for you from putting yourself out there in the community.
Thanks for always pushing me, Scott. I love this. This
Yeah,
feels
you're
very aligned
welcome.
with what we've been talking about for years.
Yes.
This North
I
Node
want
Aries energy.
Yes. I want to see you succeed. And I love that you're doing this with Chris and Gio because you're doing it with a group. But
Hmm.
you're going to be the one that everyone's going to want to talk to. You're going to be front and center. They're your sidekicks. You're the
Oh,
superhero and they're the sidekicks.
I'm not even like they're more like art artists, but I'm kind of
Yeah.
the creative director, which is just a fun role for me. Like I'm in the
Yes.
leadership, kind of guiding all the pieces to put them together and
Hmm.
curating it. But they're doing more of like the work. It's an interesting dynamic, but it's working out really well. I think everyone likes the flow of our dynamic together. It's been exciting.
Good. Good. I'm
Um,
excited.
Before we get into the week, would you like to thank our sponsors?
Yes, let's thank our sponsors. We want to thank Brenna, Nicole, Samantha, Kendra, Larry, Jasmine, Janelle, Vincent and Michelle, Aline, Cassie, Merdinas, Brooke, Ricky, Amaranth, Annie, Amber, Haley, and Carrie.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you all so much for supporting the podcast. It allows us to spend more time doing what we love, sharing the planets and stars with you. If you'd like to donate to the podcast, it's in the show notes. Support, you can donate $1, $5, or $10 a month. If you want to support in other ways, you can give us a review, rate us 5 stars, share us with your friends. We are, if you want to see our beautiful faces, we are on YouTube. You can go subscribe. Even if you don't watch YouTube, will you please subscribe? Because if we get to 1,000 subscribers, we will get monetized. You can buy the basics of astrology, the book we put together, and yeah. Oh, also, if you want to like reflect on the previous week, usually we do a Q&A. I mean, you can write us questions too, but really we wanted to lean into your guys' stories and how you incorporate it into your lives. So if you go to the Spotify, if you go to the link in the show notes, there's a Q&A button. That will be where you can share how you incorporated the astrology forecast into your week.
Yes.
Please,
Yes.
please share. And
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
the best way to get the best way to get the way to get the most out of this podcast is to grab the basics of astrology, the book we put together. It's got all the symbols and a glossary of terms that we talk about on here. Go to theweeklytransit.com and go to the forecast. That has all the visuals along with a little description and all of the journal prompts that Scott asks me. And are we ready to get into the
Yeah.
week?
Yeah. Well, yeah, sure. But I wanted to also let everyone know that I'm going to be teaching my first North Node class. The introduction to the
Yay.
North Node class is this Sunday, July 30th. So if you haven't already signed up for the class, you can do so at theweeklytransit.com. I'm also teaching another basics of astrology class, which is going to go along with the book. You get a download digital copy of the book for free, in addition to signing up for the class, which is next Sunday, August 6th. And then I have 2 more North Node classes, another one coming up in August and another one in September if you're unable to make the one this Sunday. But it's going to be great. And I'm excited to meet you and share the knowledge with you.
I think that the classes are a really good way to, I mean, the readings are kind of expensive. If you can invest, definitely get a reading. But this is a nice way to get some personal one on one time with Scott. It's not a huge group. You get one on one interaction to ask questions and interact with him. The basics of astrology, if you want to level up and really be more conversational, the basics of astrology class is a really great way to get there. And then the North Node class, everyone knows I love the North Node. So if you're really kind of pushing towards like, what is your purpose? Something more personal to you, the North Node class is an intro to the North Node. So it's going to be built. I think he's going to have a couple more classes coming later. So this
Yes.
is the
Yes.
first of the series. So
Yes.
start with this start with this basic
Mm-hmm.
North Node. building block if you're ready
Yes.
to get a
Yes.
little deeper into.
And
Yeah.
Ingrid is following her North Node
Yeah.
by doing
Mm,
that,
mm,
the
mm.
Silver Lake flea market, being in the community, which is your 11th house, being courageous, putting your face out there, which you're so afraid to do for some reason. I don't understand.
It's not that I'm
It's,
I don't know. I don't know what it is. It just feels like a lot
yeah,
of pressure because I want everything the very Virgo nature. I'm
perfect.
like,
Yeah, it's got to be perfect.
I was even doing this like coffee table that I've been putting tiling, and my guy was here and he was like, I was like, okay, so I need to do one more time where I get every little speck. He's like, it's fine. It's like, it's fine that it has imperfections. Just chill. And I'm like, I can't
Mhm.
chill. Must make it perfect. He's like, this is ridiculous. You're being ridiculous. You need,
Good, good.
he's like, it looks great. You need to just
Yes,
calm down. Stop picking it
good,
apart.
good. That's what you
And I was
need to
like,
hear
fuck.
sometimes.
I know.
Yes,
He's always telling me that. He's like,
yes,
that's enough. That's about
yeah.
enough.
I think every Virgo needs somebody in their life that can tell them that's enough. You
Yeah.
can
And to
stop now.
also,
It's already
and I
good.
think it's also finding that person who can tell you in the right way for it to be, because
Yes, of
sometimes I'm like,
course.
I hear someone else say it and I'm just like, well, you don't even know because you don't get it because you don't care about the details. Where
Exactly.
I
It
feel like
needs to be
he,
somebody you respect,
yeah, I'm
right?
like, I respect his opinion. So I'm like, he would tell me, like, he would just be like, no, that looks like shit. He's never,
Exactly.
he's very honest and blunt. He kind of can't
Mhm.
hide those things. So he would definitely be like, what happened here? Like he
Yeah.
can't really hide his excitement or disappointment. It's just very like if it's not the thing that he wanted that's like perfect for him, he's like, oh, I don't want it.
That's someone you can trust.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's move into the week of July 24th through the 30th. We're beginning here on Monday, July 24th, continuing with an alignment that we looked into quite a bit last week, and we will throughout this week as well. That is the North Node. Speaking of the North Node in Aries at the final degree, 29 degrees, forming a stressful square, creating a lot of tension with Pluto, the god of death, lord of the underworld, the planet of transformation in the cardinal earth sign symbolized by the goat and ruled by Saturn, Capricorn. So interesting alignment here that we'll touch on again with this Aries connection between Aries and Capricorn, the relationship between Aries and Capricorn. They're both cardinal signs here, Aries and Capricorn. The difference between the two is Aries is fire, Capricorn is earth. When you think of the symbols, Aries is the ram. The ram is charging ahead without thinking, where the goat is very determined to get
Planning.
to the top of the mountain, but needs to take its time to plot its
Mm.
course to figure out how to ascend to the top of the mountain. So that's where the tension lies between the North Node in Aries and Pluto in Capricorn. Pluto in Capricorn is transforming your relationship to the authority, your relationship to yourself as an authority. The North Node in Aries is giving you the confidence or lighting the fire within you that is pushing you to say, I am good enough to be in charge. I am smart enough to be a leader. But there may be tension there because one is very impatient and one wants to take its time.
I mean, I'm thinking of me and Chris. Chris is very Leo energy, also very Aries energy, his Aries
Yeah.
moon. He's
Yes.
just like, this is what I want to do. I'm going for it. I'm not stopping. And I like to plan a little more.
Mhm.
Like he's not a big risk taker, but once he decides something, he just is full force ahead where I'm just like, okay, do we have all the little things? Do we have this? Is everything right? And I think it's a nice balance though. It's like, okay, we do need to plan. Don't go super crazy. I know you have this vision, but like when you're having that fight internally where it's like, oh, do I just put it out there? Like friend Gio, but he was like, I'm just gonna get a booth. I don't even give a fuck what it looks like. I'm gonna put my hats on this piece of shit table, and I just have to put myself out there because it's been sitting here for
Yes.
months.
Yes.
And so we have 3 different energies. I need it to be perfect. Gio is like, did all these hats so perfect, and then he's like, I don't care what the booth looks like. And then Chris is very like, he's like, okay, it's time. Like, we just planned this 2 weeks, like in the last 2 weeks. So we've only been planning for a week, but I'm like, okay, I do well with kind of the in between. I'm like, okay, we have gathering all the pieces and doing things. Well, it's also a death of the old way of doing things, right? It's Pluto energy. So for all of us, it's kind of a transformation of putting ourselves out there, because Chris has an issue with it with his music. Gio's had these hats I've been pushing him for these hats. He showed me same exact thing as my tables.
Yes.
He's like, I wanted this hat. I saw it online. It was $500. I couldn't afford it. So, and I was like, I could make that. So then he made a hat, and then he sold it for $500. And I was like, dude, why are you working on other stuff? You could sell a couple hats a month and pay all your bills. And they're so they're really special. So I think all of us, it's kind of this North Node and Aries energy of putting ourselves out there, getting this push to actually do it. We consider I'm planning and plotting, but like, you got to do it.
If you want to achieve something, you have to take the first step.
Yeah. What, I was just sitting in your closet. It's crazy.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, and then I'm just peeking at the other alignment. Moon,
so let's pull that back up. The
moon
in Libra, opposing.
And then Chiron in Aries. So
Chiron in Aries, yes.
A little discomfort around healing our wound, but also where that Gemini moon energy is like,
it's Libra moon energy.
Oh,
Libra moon. You said Gemini, but they're both air signs, so there is communication involved. But we're looking at relationships,
balance, harmony.
Any insecurities that you have in your close personal relationships. What are your insecurities in relationship? You're going to go do this with Gio and Chris. There's sometimes some tension there with you and Chris, especially. And so facing your fears with regards to relationships, the past of these relationships, where do the fears come from? The moon represents the past. Where do these insecurities stem from?
I guess even like a little bit with Gio, like we haven't actually, I feel like there's always a peace and harmony between us. It always feels so easy, but this will be the first time we're actually working on something very personal together. Like, we've been planning for the food stuff, but this is our first time actually doing it together and with Chris. Like, this is a new team effort. So I know how Chris can be. Usually in the moment of like executing, we're always smooth sailing. Like, we had an issue before the last shoot. Of course, the shoot date, amazing. All the after part, amazing. I think it's just a lot of whatever our energy is leading up to it. Yeah.
It's all the pressure that the two of you put on each other and yourselves. You put pressure on yourselves, and then it bounces off of each other and creates even more pressure.
I think maybe this Libra, sorry, I keep saying Gemini. Yeah. This Libra energy, maybe Gio will balance the scales, because he's always in high spirits, always like, it doesn't matter, whatever the thing is, it's perfect. It's like, even like, you're always like, when something's going wrong, you're like, oh, this is perfect, Ingrid, you're in a bad mood, perfect. And I feel like Gio has that same sort of, everything is in its place, it's fine, whatever's happening is how it's supposed to be, and not to worry. So I think that maybe he will be adding this balance to the relationship.
Exactly. He's like that third ingredient to the dish that, like, if it's not there, you definitely miss it.
Yeah.
But if it is there, it's like, oh, it tastes so perfectly. But like Gio's a Libra moon. So that's why it would make sense. He's the balance person, He's going to help balance you and Chris out, temper you out.
I'm so excited. I love that.
Yes, you need that third person involved. Awesome, Ingrid. Okay, moving on to Tuesday, July 25th. We've got the North Node still squaring Pluto. This is happening from July 17th to August 5th. So this is just like an undertone where we are really being transformed to step into your power as the authority, confidently, courageously, authentically. Then we have also joining this alignment with Pluto in the North Node, Venus, Lady Luck, the goddess of love and beauty, the planet of relationships, retrograde, where it's going to be all week at 28 degrees in the fixed fire sign, symbolized by the lion and ruled by the sun, Leo. Then the moon also still continuing through the cardinal air sign, symbolized by the scales, Libra, ruled by Venus, the planet of relationships. So it's interesting because Venus is the planetary ruler of Libra. It's aligning with the moon in Libra, but it's aligning from Leo. So think about, especially for those, if you have key astrological points or planets at 28 degrees in air signs, fire signs, or fixed signs, then you are being hit directly by this Venus energy. So if you're not clear what that means for you, or you'd like more insight to that, I encourage you to contact me for a reading at theweeklytransit.com. But what this means for everyone is it's about opening your heart and reflecting on the past of your relationships. You and Chris have a very close personal relationship for many years, a romantic relationship, now no longer, but you're still friends and you work together. There's a lot of reflection here. And it's about continuing to open your heart and be bold in the expression of your love. Venus aligning with the moon in Libra, hopefully that brings some grace and some charm and some harmony to the relationship.
Yeah, that feels good. I think that putting the projects out there and it not just being all the anticipation, I think that will start to like balance everything out there. It will be a reward of all the hard work, and that like settles everybody's emotions. It like fills our hearts. We're feeling
Yes.
excited. We're feeling fulfilled. We're sharing this expression together.
Yes. It's like the way that these all work together. When you think of the North Node in Aries, that's being courageous and being authentic. And then Venus and Leo, opening your heart in your close personal relationships. When you're able to do those two things, then you can transform your relationship to authority. You're stepping into your power. And the moon in Libra just brings that sort of soothing, calming energy where we're able to have the conversation. Like Libra, it's funny because you mentioned Gemini. You were confusing Libra moon with Gemini moon. And the funny thing is I feel like the Libra moon people are the chattiest moon people of all the moon signs. Yes. They love talking because they love sharing their emotions and what they're feeling. And so there should be a lot of conversation on these days when the moon is transiting through Libra, because we're all experiencing what it's like to be a moon in Libra, which means we're all going to be a little more chatty than normal in our relationships, which hopefully allows us to open our hearts and be authentic and claim our position of authority in life. You're the authority of who you are. No one can tell you who you are except for you. Moving on to Wednesday, July 26th. Again, Pluto in Capricorn squaring the North Node in Aries, joined by the moon, which is now transited into the fixed water sign, symbolized by the Scorpio, forming an opposition to Jupiter, the god of thunder, lord of justice, the planet of luck and expansion, in the fixed earth sign, symbolized by the bull, Taurus. So when the moon moves into Scorpio, this is the funny thing. It's like Libra moon is like one of the most chatty placements for the moon, and Scorpio moon is one of the most hidden places for the moon. When the moon is in Scorpio, you may be more reserved in sharing what you're feeling, because what you're feeling is so intense, so passionate, so deep, that it's like, well, I can't say that to that person because they're going to think I'm a psycho killer. Exactly. I'm a psycho, Yeah. So the opposition to Jupiter is opening that up, though. It's opening up those feelings. It's connecting to our relationship with the material, your senses, your likes and dislikes. It's connecting the emotions to the senses. It's Ingrid, you love food, emotions. Food is something that really ties you to your emotions. So when I think of Taurus, I think of food. I feel like part of the reason why you're so emotionally tied to food is not only because you're a Cancer moon, but because you're a second house moon, which
Hmm.
is Taurus. And I feel like Taurus and Cancer are the two signs that represent food, because Cancer is the home and the kitchen is in the home, and Taurus is the material, and food is material sustenance for your soul.
I mean, I think that just goes back to what I was sharing earlier about me getting obsessed with food and uh my friend just not he's just like I don't care about that, and so somehow like emotionally I feel so tied, I feel so deeply tied to food. And you know, expanding my affinity for food in other ways with other people, so like, you know, making food with Geo, very
Mm-hmm.
fulfilling. Like that's where I need to
Yes.
focus that energy. It doesn't have to be tied to every relationship. Like he does
Mm-hmm.
appreciate it when I cook. Like he
Mm-hmm.
just does, he doesn't get it. Like not everyone is
Mm-hmm.
on the same page. So just not taking things personally that aren't personal. That's just his personal
Yes.
preference. He does appreciate it when he's feeling good, when I make good food, but just yeah, the discomfort of not like just reconciling something within myself where it's like, where do I focus my energy? I'll focus my energy expanding my food energy, but not deeply tying it to every relationship like emotionally.
Right. Right.
Even like
Yes.
my dad doesn't appreciate food as much as my mom. He does appreciate it, but then my mom is just like, that's what she wants to do every second. And he's like, bitch, I don't want to go to 9 fucking grocery stores every day. Shut the fuck up. And my mom's like,
Yes.
you don't love me. And I'm like, mom, I am love food and we're not driving to 9 grocery stores. You're gonna
Hmm.
need to calm down.
Hmm.
So I think we have that, you know, in common. It's just like, oh, that's our love language. So reconciling whatever it is we're passionate about
Yes.
and knowing that not everyone's gonna care as much about what we care about. That doesn't mean anything about how much they care for us.
I think that's part of what this alignment between the moon in Scorpio and Jupiter in Taurus is all about. It's that tension between your relationship to the material, whether it's food or art or culture, that makes you feel abundant and
Mm,
light,
hmm.
and then the people that you're bonded to that don't feel the same way about what you feel.
Yeah.
So some of that may be coming up. And that was for Wednesday, July 26th. Moving on to Thursday, July 27th. We are now looking at, in addition to, of course, Pluto in Capricorn squaring the North Node in Aries, we also have Venus retrograde in Leo, conjunct with Mercury, the messenger of the gods, guide of souls to the underworld, the planet of consciousness, communication, and coordination, conjunct with Venus retrograde in Leo. So this Thursday, July 27th, this is a big communication day. This is connecting your mind to your heart and your heart to your mind so that you can speak from your heart. Is there something that you wish you could say to a partner from long ago? Maybe this is the day that you do it. Maybe they're reaching out to you. They want to talk to you about something they said, or they feel bad, or they misrepresented themselves, or they hurt you and they want to apologize. This is a day to open your heart and connect your mind to your heart so that you can speak from your heart.
I think last week we had touched on like kind of having the frog in your throat, being scared to share what's
Mm.
in your heart. So I think now we're kind of moving through it and we're able to express ourselves more with that connection to your mind. It's like sometimes you know you have something to say, but being articulate about it is so important. Otherwise, people aren't going to be receptive. So I think once we have that mind and heart connection, we'll be able to express ourselves. I mean, it's a
Conjunction, yeah.
so it still doesn't mean it's going to be comfortable to share that, but you're going to be able to connect it and express yourself, even though there still may be the fear. You you've pulled yourself together. You know how to communicate about it now. You're understanding what you need to communicate now. Which sometimes
Yes.
when we do things prematurely, it comes off in a way that we don't want. So it's like collecting, not being super reactive, collecting our thoughts before we put them out there, especially when we're trying to be bold with and open our hearts. It's like it can be very chaotic if we don't like temper that energy and be more intentional with it.
Yes. Yes. Intentional with the energy. Yeah, because it's going to be powerful, especially as Mercury is completing its transit in Leo. Because on Friday, July 28th, Mercury moves into Virgo. So it's like on Thursday, July 27th, we're having that big expression. We're sharing everything that we want to share from our heart. And then on Friday, July 28th, when Mercury moves into Virgo, now maybe you're being more critical with yourself. Why did I say that? Oh my God, I'm so exposed. I said too much. I opened my heart too much. But you want to refrain from being so critical of yourself. Recognize that your mind works for you. You don't work for your mind. Your mind works for you.
I think also carrying over that tempering energy, I think it's good to analyze why we do what we do, why we're having these thoughts, how we expressed ourselves. That's how we grow and evolve and become better at our communication, better at opening our hearts in a more intentional way. So don't go too crazy with the criticism, but it's okay to be like, okay, this is what worked, this is what didn't work. That's like
Yeah, I love that.
a good quality to have, as long as you're not ripping yourself apart. It's like, okay, maybe I should have collected myself more. Maybe I should have taken a bath, done some nurturing things for myself. Like when I'm feeling rested and fed and emotionally fulfilled by myself, that's when I do the best job of expressing what's on my heart. Not when I'm feeling depleted, not when I'm feeling like a bitch, not when I'm feeling like just, raw and agitated. It's not like we can't express ourselves during our times, because I'm sure we will, but it doesn't always come across how we want it. So just reminding ourselves to be like, okay, what is working? What is not working? I think that's a good just reflection for ourselves, not to be harsh about it, but oh, maybe it didn't come across how I wanted it because I didn't sleep well. It didn't feed myself. And then I just came across as a nag, or like depleting them in a way where I could have maybe collected myself, and the interaction could have gone better if I was taking care of me.
I love that you bring up taking care of yourself, feeding yourself. These are important tent poles or themes of Virgo, because Virgo's about service, and you can't be of service to others until you are of service to yourself. So
yes, this.
pay attention to what you're putting into your body and how it's affecting your mind. Pay attention to what you're putting into your mind and how it's affecting your body. And with the North Node in Aries still squaring Pluto in Capricorn, it's holding yourself accountable, taking responsibility for what you're feeding yourself, what you're feeding your mind, what you're feeding your body.
Yeah, anything you're like ingesting. We're ingesting everything. There's like some sort of, I think in Ayurveda, when they do a cleanse, they don't just not eat. It's not just a juice or a fast. It's a specific, like all these like vegetables and grains that you eat. And they want it to be balanced. So if they don't want you to feel depleted, they want you to feel satiated. And so like if you're like, oh, I don't have enough fat, they're like, add an avocado to it or an egg. If you feel like you need more spice, add some herbs, make a homemade chutney with like honey and fruit if you need something sweet. Like it's more important to have a balance and feel nourished than it is to feel like depleted, because we are ingesting that we're ingesting everything. So we don't want to be
Yes.
ingesting depletion. We want to feel
Mhm.
still nourished and satiated while cleansing ourselves. And
Yes.
I really like that concept of you don't want to be ingesting lack.
No, no, ingesting abundance.
Yeah.
And
You can clear out, you can be eating cleaner or being kinder to your thoughts or being more patient. All of those things are good things we can do for ourselves that are essentially like, we're stripping things away, taking out the things we don't need, but that doesn't mean it has to be a lack. It can be a good thing.
mhm, this is about creating an efficiency in your life as
Mm,
well
I love
with
that.
Mercury and Virgo. It's about, well, how do I need to schedule my life so that I have time to feed myself and take care of myself in a way that supports me in my work, so that I'm supported not only in my work, but in supporting and serving others.
Dude, the last 2 weeks, I missed my Friday shift at work. And I was like, okay, I'm going to go in Saturday. I'm going to work a double, which I've never do. But I ate before. I brought extra food. I took a break. Like I brought food for snacks and then I took an hour and a half break. I took a little nap. I went and got food. I got, hydrated and I came back and I was very impressed with just being able
Mm,
to keep nourishing myself. Otherwise, my mood tanks and I'm not
yeah.
it's not worth it.
No strip
Nothing is worth
club,
it.
chicken
No,
McNuggets or whatever.
no strip club chicken tenders. Disgusting. Yeah, I'm just like, okay, I'm gonna leave. Like, I have like also this addiction. I'm like, oh, I have to stay and make money, and I have to be on the floor the whole time. I'm not gonna take a break. And I'm like, well, then you can't stay. You
Yeah.
have to go eat. You have to
Good.
take a little breather,
Good.
refresh yourself, be nice
Yes.
to yourself. If it was one of the
Yes.
other girls, I would be like, oh my God, yeah, go get some food. Like, come back in 30 minutes. You're gonna feel better. Then
Hmm.
you're gonna be able to interact. But for
Yes.
myself, I'm just so harsh. I'm like, must keep working. Don't take breaks. Like, it's like, okay, freak. Now you feel like shit and now you're a bitch to everybody because you like didn't take care of yourself. It's just yeah,
Hmm.
very apparent just that the more you nurture yourself, the more you're able to give.
Well, and when you think of Virgo, remember this from the basics of astrology.
Mm,
This,
mm.
which I'm showing here, this visual. Virgo rules the intestines. The intestines eliminate whatever is in the body that is no longer serving the body. So, what do you need to eliminate from your mind that is no longer serving you? Is it a negative thought pattern?
Mhm.
A thought of lack? I don't deserve this. This isn't good enough. I'm a failure. These are the thoughts that we want to eliminate from our mind while Mercury is in Virgo. Mercury is the planetary ruler of Virgo. This is Mercury in its strongest position, aside from Gemini, its other strongest position. Like Mercury owns two homes, one's Gemini, one's Virgo.
Hmm.
One's extroverted, one's introverted. This is the introverted expression of Mercury, introverted expression of the mind. So it's really delving into what is going on between your ears. What
Hmm.
are your conscious thoughts? What are the conversations that you're having with yourself? We have an extended period to work out and heal our mind with Mercury transiting through Virgo, the sign that it
Ugh,
rules, which is
I
happening from
love
July
this.
28th to October 4th.
I absolutely love this. I love
Mm.
it so much. It is time to take stock of everything and clear out what you don't need, clear out
Mhm.
what's not working. And sometimes I can spiral on the same shit forever. And it's just like taking this opportunity to take the shit out we don't need. Weed your garden, clean out your
Yes.
closet of your mind. Like
Yes.
it's so important. And we don't always have the access to it no matter how much we want to fix something. It's like
Mhm.
sometimes it's just not the season for it, even if we're like
Yes.
trying to force something. This is the season for it, and I feel like I'm already feeling it, like even in my car, not listening to music or podcasts every minute. Sometimes I just am like, oh, I fill all of my quiet with
Mhm.
noise because it just feels like
Mhm.
fulfilling. But right now I've been really sitting with my thoughts
Yes.
and reflecting, and I think that taking the opportunity right now to actually sit with them and
Yes.
sort them out
Yes.
is pushing right now, and to not don't gloss over it, because it's so easy to get addicted to the Instagram, or filling your time with people or other things. Like being mindful of that quiet space and reflecting internally.
Yes, and eliminating those thoughts
Mm-hmm.
that are dragging you down. It's like I just watched a trilogy, because it, like, the third one just released on Amazon, of Creed. You know this movie, Ingrid? Probably not.
Mm.
It's is like the sequel to like the Rocky movies, the
Oh,
boxing.
okay. Mm-hmm.
And the first one, Creed, phenomenal film. Phenomenal film. And there's a moment in the film where Rocky, Sylvester Stallone, is training Michael B. Jordan, who plays Apollo Creed's illegitimate son. And he is looking in the mirror, and it's boxing. And so Rocky tells him, he's like, "You see this guy in the mirror right here? This is the biggest battle you'll ever face, is with
Mm-hmm.
him right here." And
Mm-hmm.
what's interesting is Michael B. Jordan is a Virgo rising.
Mm.
So I'm sure he really understands how that works for him, because the Virgo energy can be very critical. So how do you get that energy to work for you? It's by eliminating the negative thought patterns. Now, the reason why Mercury is transiting through Virgo from July 28th to October 4th, which is an incredibly long time, because it typically takes Mercury about 3 weeks to go through a sign, but Mercury is going to be in Virgo for all of August and all of September, and part of the last few days of July and the first few days of October, because Mercury is going to be retrograde. So I want to give you those dates so that you can prepare to really take stock of where your mind is and where you want it to be by the time Mercury exits its retrograde shadow. So Mercury moves into its retrograde shadow on August 3rd. August 23rd is when Mercury is retrograde. Mercury goes direct on September 15th. And then on September 29th is when Mercury exits its retrograde shadow. So the mental house cleaning is done between July 28th and October 4th, but especially the intensive mental house cleaning is going to be August 3rd to September 29th, and even more intense between October 23rd to September 15th. So really take stock, think about what you want to eliminate from your mind so that your mind is working for you and you're not working for your mind. Now, giving you some perspective on the last time Mercury was in Virgo was August 3rd to the 25th and September 23rd to October 10th of 2022. The time before that was August 11th to the 29th of 2021. So think back to those dates for clues on what could be in store for you this time around as Mercury transits through Virgo. For those of you that were born with key astrological points or planets in Gemini or Sagittarius, just be mindful. There's going to be some challenges for you, some bumps in the road. How do I put this? Slow down and treat yourself with respect in your mind. If you find yourself beating yourself up in your mind, transmute those energies, change the thought pattern. And if you need any help or assistance on how to navigate through this extended Mercury in Virgo transit, contact me for a reading at theweeklytransit.com. It is my honor to support you and help guide you through this transit and all the transits, and really help you understand who you are so you can accept, appreciate, and love the divine, unique miracle that is you. So moving on to Saturday, July 29th, we're looking at Pluto in Capricorn squaring the North Node in Aries, joined by Venus in retrograde in Leo, forming a positive trine with the moon in the mutable fire sign symbolized by the archer and ruled by Jupiter, Sagittarius. So 3 planets that are retrograde, or 3 points that are retrograde: Pluto, the North Node, and Venus, all retrograde. The Moon never retrograde, but the Moon's bringing that emotional sensitivity to optimism and honesty and seeing the big picture. When the Moon transits through Scorpio, as it was on Wednesday, that was getting really deep with ourselves. Then the Moon moves into Aries, and it's like opening up. The contraction is Scorpio, the expansion is Sagittarius. So how can you take a more optimistic look at what you're feeling in your heart and how those feelings are directed at the ones that you love? How can you be more honest and forthright in expressing your heart boldly and courageously in your relationships? That's what this is about.
I mean, all of that fear and stuff we've been talking about this week and then last week of, something getting stuck in your throat or maybe not coming out the right way. It seems like now the directness of this Sagittarius energy, the ability to tell the truth about our emotions, that's going to make it easier to open our hearts.
Yes.
There's an ease about it when we're being honest. Like we don't need to be caught up in the emotions exactly. We're just being honest about what is. And I think that is really beautiful.
Yes.
The
Yes.
honesty behind it.
Yes.
Maybe we've sorted it out in our minds too. We've done this Virgo mind work of kind of extracting and figuring out what's happening in there. And now we can just say it. Like we are expressing our heart. So maybe there's emotions in there, but it's not ruled by the emotions. It's ruled by like the need to express something directly that's happening within ourselves.
Yes. To be truthful.
Yeah.
Because in order for there
hearts.
in order for there to be love, there must be trust. And in order for there to be trust, there must be truth. Yes. And that's what this is.
That's so powerful.
Yes. Thank you, Ingrid. Sunday, July 30th. Again, Pluto retrograde in Capricorn, squaring the North Node, retrograde in Aries, urging you to transform your relationship to authority in a way that is authentic to who you are. And then joined by the Moon in Capricorn, which is forming a positive trine with Jupiter in Taurus. So this is kind of molding everything together. It's like we've had that expressive fire energy, and now we temper that fire energy down into creating something that we can actually touch.
Yeah.
Which is the earth energy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Getting grounded.
Getting grounded in what you love, in the senses. When you think about it, Taurus is ruled by Venus. Venus is the planet of love. So Taurus is about what you love in the material world. It's what you love in the material, what you love to eat, what you love to look at, what you like to listen to, what you love to smell. It's your taste in art, your relationship to culture, and
it feels so emotional. Yes. All of those things are material things, but they do bring a sense of comfort, a sense of when someone's even just going back, I feel like it's such a silly example, but this flea market thing feels so exciting because I love material things. I love like the art of it, being able to touch something and share the beauty of something with somebody, the smell, the sights. It's exciting to me. It feels fulfilling to me. And to have other people that connect emotionally to those same things, I think is important. Maybe it's not, this one guy and the food. It's like, oh, there's a mismatch. It's like, okay, there's a million other things that I love and I can share with other people. We all connect with different things. So finding the people that appreciate like each of these different avenues. Maybe this person is with food. This person is with, candles and scents. This person is with art. This person is with philosophy and higher learning. It's just, we all have a different connection to these people. So fulfilling all of these material avenues.
I love that you bring up emotions and the material. Some people might think that's an odd match, but it makes absolute perfect sense because the moon is exalted in Taurus. So the two planets that are most associated with Taurus are Venus, which is the planetary ruler of Taurus, the goddess of love, and the moon, which is exalted in Taurus, the planet of emotions. So the moon in Capricorn aligning to Jupiter in Taurus is strengthening the energy of the moon and the energy of Jupiter in Taurus, which is expanding your relationship to the material. It's helping you really feel abundant. Like I want you all to be rich. Not necessarily in money, but yes, in money.
In
But when I say
in
rich, and like
things that
enjoying everything that you want to enjoy in the material realm.
and that can also be different for everybody. One person wants
Yes.
some luxury hotel experience with a beautiful
Mhm.
view that feels so special to them. Another
Mhm.
person wants solitude
In
in
a
a
tent in the
field.
middle
Yeah,
of nowhere, you
absolutely,
know?
exactly, exactly. It's like that feels abundant for them to be feel free and to enjoy
Yes.
nature. It's like we all have something that feels good for us in terms of the material, and that can mean monetary or that can mean with nothing, just appreciating the moment and the presence of what's around you. There's so many different
Yes.
category, even just thinking of the category of art, there's a million different art styles where it's like, oh, I hate this art
Yes.
and I love this art. Okay, that can be, even with food, it's like my appreciation for food is, McDonald's French fries, or it can be a filet mignon. It's different for every person, and that doesn't make
Yes.
one more valid. It's like as long as we have all the things, I think to like my best friend and her husband, she is like
Mm.
very much an artist. She loves the finer things in life, her skincare routine, her clothes. Like, I don't feel like she's very like spendy, but she does spend very intentionally on having really
Mhm.
nice things. And her
Mhm.
boyfriend is like, he could eat a hot dog every day. He doesn't care. He doesn't care about his clothes. It's just not important to him. But he's like, having a picnic with like a hot dogs and just enjoying company, that's fulfilling to him. Just hanging out with his
Mm.
cats and having nothing, where she wants to curate the whole experience. It's like they can have both of those things. Like I think the best time I went there for a week and helped them with their wedding a couple months ago. The most special time, like one of the times was me making oysters for her
Yeah, I was
and
gonna
her
say
other
the
close
oysters.
friend, having this special moment of like these beautiful foods. And then we did
Mhm.
the same thing in her backyard with just like the three of us on the way to the airport. We had oysters, we had hot dogs, we just sat in the garden. There was no pressure for anything to be perfect. It just felt very leisurely in the sun, almost like redneck vibes. We had a cooler and a beer, and it was they were equally as amazing, whether it's like the highbrow or lowbrow. Just
Mhm.
everyone has those things within themselves, and
Yes.
taking the time to appreciate it makes us feel like this is why I'm on earth. Otherwise, what the fuck is the point? Like
Exactly.
enjoying these things that make us feel good.
Hmm. So, in thinking about the moon in Capricorn, which is about achievement and goals, what are the goals that you want to accomplish and achieve for your future that is going to satisfy you in the material realm? That's going to satisfy you emotionally because of what you are experiencing in the material realm. I hope that this transit helps you, and this is a transit that we're going to be experiencing several months now as Jupiter transits, as it has been, continues to transit through Taurus, but really aligning your goals, your ambitions with
Yes,
what
yes, yes.
satisfies you emotionally in the material world,
Mm.
which is where we are, Earth.
I, th-
That's what
I
Earth
think
is.
I think you had kind of asked me this a couple weeks ago, and it was on the other lady's podcast. She's like, "Oh, where do you see yourself in 5 years?" And part of it was this material, like comforts, and like how are my goals going to support this place that I want to be in my life that involves flexibility with time and abundance in terms of the material. Just like how are my goals supporting my actual goal? Like how are my short term goals of supporting my long term goals of happiness?
Mm.
Like, how are we going to
Yes.
get there? Is it actually supporting what is valuable to us? What do we value? And are our goals supporting it? Because if they're not in alignment, something's not going to go right somewhere.
Mm-hmm. That's right. That's right. So it's about aligning that, your goals and your values together.
Yeah. Yeah. Because a lot of the
You
time
have to
they
love
can
what you
be,
do.
yeah, they can be at odds. It's like, well, this is what I
Mhm.
want, but this is how I'm going to get there. Well, that doesn't make any sense. You're actually not going to get there by doing this.
Mhm.
So, sometimes you just make money to get to this goal and maybe they're unrelated. Some people have careers, they're like, this is good enough, but it gets me to these other goals. And other
Mhm.
people maybe your long-term thing needs to be a part of the short-term thing. Like, oh, I need to be always making art, or I need to always be in food. But just reflecting within ourselves, what does that work for us? Is that going to
Mhm.
personally work for us? Because what works for someone else is not always going to work for
Exactly.
ourselves.
That's right. And that's that is representative by your astrological code, which is different from
Then
everybody else's.
also the North Node.
The North Node. So reminder, North Node class is Sunday, the day that this alignment is occurring here, July 30th. Sunday is when we will be having the North Node class, the first introduction to the North Node class, where I will be doing something that I love, which is teaching and talking about astrology, which will helps me achieve my goals and my ambitions. And one of my goals and ambitions is to help you understand who you are so you can accept, appreciate, and love the divine, unique miracle that is you. I want to remind you what this symbol means that we will learn about in the class next Sunday, August 6th, the basics of astrology. This is the symbol for Earth, which is a cross of matter inside a circle of spirit. That is the symbol for Earth, which means that when I look at you, Ingrid, when I look at every individual, I'm reminding myself that what I'm looking at is the physical manifestation of your soul. This is the place, Earth is the place where the eternal soul materializes into a physical body. So I want to help you, everyone else I come into contact with, understand the specialness of that soul so that you can thrive in life by being who you are.
Thank you,
which
Scott.
is perfect.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
You're such a great
You're
support.
welcome.
That feels so good. Yeah, if anyone wants to learn more about yourself, the North Node class, it's a class for learning, but it's also a class for learning about yourself. Like, your soul's purpose is so important. And Scott's been telling me for years, and it's like it takes so long for me to I have these realizations where I'm like, oh my God, wow. Like, it just has to come in time, but all of these concepts are starting to really sink in. And I don't know, I think this North Node class would be really nice for people to start touching on that, because that's one of the first things you told me that I it took so long for me to process, and only now I'm realizing, maybe like a year ago I was like, oh, it's starting to happen, and now I'm like, oh, it's really starting to happen. It's like, oh, now it's really a bigger part of my life. The more I've learned about myself and my North Node, the more I am like, wow, this is big shit. This is big shit, and it's really changing everything for me. So yeah.
Remember when I told you that you needed to be involed in the community, and you were
I was literally like, what is that? What is a community? Because I don't get it. I really and even maybe maybe even 2 years ago, I was like, oh, okay, I understand. I'm understanding community, but now it's becoming a bigger and bigger part of my life. And I'm just like, holy shit, community, that's like everything. Like, I didn't even know because I didn't even know, it wasn't even on my radar.
Yes. So good. Love it, Ingrid.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Scott. And
you're welcome.
We'll see you next week.
I'll see you next week.
Thank you for listening to the Weekly Transit. Follow us on Instagram for daily updates about the planetary alignments and how to work with the energy. If this podcast is helping you navigate life more gracefully, please subscribe, rate us 5 stars, and share with your friends. If you're ready to go deeper, book a personal reading with Scott or sign up for his new moon, full moon class at theweeklytransit.com.
The Weekly Transit.